boyos, Rich Boy J, you're back with another video, and this is going to be another episode of building Kamino in Lego. Before we get into the video, I do want to very quickly ask you guys to do two things for me. Number one, go ahead, hit the like button on the video. I think we hit around 1,000 likes on the last update, which is awesome. I want to aim for, let's say, like 1,200 this time. There are more than enough of you who watched this video to be able to hit that goal, so please just do your boy a solid and hit that like button. And also, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button. Do it right now, get it out of the way so you can sit back and enjoy the rest of the video. The next thing I like to do is acknowledge the people who have donated to the build between the last update and this update via the live stream. So shout out to Trevor04, Delson Croft, Xavier Soren, UCS Productions, Vib, Cults of Christensen, Builds by Matt, Brick Freak, and Bobo Bricks. You guys are awesome. I sincerely appreciate the people who are willing to go above and beyond and contribute to the MOC monetarily. And if you guys are tuning into the live streams, I definitely urge you to do so. They're so much fun. I can't tell you enough just how much of a blast we always have on the live streams. And if you don't take my word for it, people who tune into the live streams, if you're watching this right now, let me know in the comment section, what do you think of the live streams? Do you enjoy your time there? I guess this could potentially backfire on me, but I think I'm confident enough in the live streams that I'll get some pretty positive feedback there. But nonetheless, let me know how you guys feel about the live streams, and maybe you convince someone to tune in who has not tuned in before. Now let's talk about Kamino. So for this update, there were a few things that I definitely wanted to get knocked out. Number one, it was the paneling on the bottom of the MOC. I think that was just really important to finally getting the correct shape of the dome that I want, at least for the bottom half. And also I was able to install some ceiling sections on the second tier level of it. You'll make a little more sense once we get into the video. And then finally, I got some lights installed that are going to make this MOC so much more aesthetically pleasing. So without further ado, guys, let's jump right into the build. The first order of business this week was to get these little support sections covered up with some bottom panels. Cue the time lapse. In this, you'll notice that the design is pretty uniform. I didn't waste too much time doing a bunch of crazy detail or greebling like I did on the top panels. This is mostly because the bottom would not be exposed to the elements in the same way that the top would, so it wouldn't make sense to have all the discoloration that the top would have. And also, this is just a hidden part of the MOC. Like, this is not going to be nearly as visible as the top, so just for, you know, parts conservation, it didn't make sense to go all in on these bottom panels. That being said, there were a few sections where I did add in a little bit of detail or you know, some weathering just for the sake of it, to differentiate it a little bit, but I definitely was not putting nearly as much time into this bottom as I did on the top. To no one's surprise, making 21 of these panels did get quite repetitive, but that just seems to be the name of the game when it comes to this build, and I guess at this point, I'm pretty used to just building everything multiple times. You know, I thought building all these panels were annoying, but installing them all was probably twice as bad. These things were just not designed in such a way where I could easily connect them. And that's just kind of on me. You know, with a better design, I might have had a better way to force them into the positions that they belong in, but I was just running into all sorts of problems. As you'll probably notice, I'm having to take a lot of these off and then put them back on, or they're just straight up crumbling in my hands as I'm trying to connect them to the build. But fortunately, I in the end was able to get all of them connected. As it goes with most of these builds, seeing the end product was more than enough to make up for all the troubles that I went through in trying to get this thing built. And I gotta say, the overall shape of this thing has considerably improved with these bottom panels attached to it. One thing I just couldn't get over when filming these sections, though, was those exposed colorful plates on the underside of the second level of the balcony. And I figured, why not just go ahead and get a ceiling installed there just to cover that up. I went ahead and popped on some classic old school monster trucks as I assembled these ceiling sections, and of course the magic number for this MOC is 21, so that meant that I had 21 of these bad boys to assemble. I will say that these weren't as complex as the bottom panel section, so it wasn't as bad to get them built up, but I did run into like a few scenarios where I was just missing pretty common pieces that I would normally have in order to do this, which is, you build anything 21 times, you're bound to probably end up missing something. So I did have to end up placing an order to finish these off, but all in all, it worked out pretty well. And Much like the bottom panels, these did give me a few problems trying to get them installed, mostly with like the middle section, just because the angle on that is just slightly different from all the other sections when they come together, so I had to make sure that that was taken into account. The other part that made this a little bit difficult was just trying to get the studs lined up perfectly, and it's on the underside of this, so it's not like I can like look and see exactly what I'm working with. I kind of just had to feel around and hope that the studs would slide where they're supposed to slide into. But after a lot of finagling with pretty much all of these, I was able to get them popped in. And I would be lying if I said this was an easy process, but I finally got the ceiling as well as those bottom panels right there installed on Kamino. And the process was quite a bit. Tried to do some time lapses with it, just some video of getting it all installed, but I ran into so many issues with just spacing, things falling apart, connections not working exactly as I intended, which kind of slowed up that process a bit. But in the end, I did get everything to work out, and you can see here, Kamino actually has a ceiling, at least on that first floor, and I think it actually makes a really big difference. It looks so much more complete in this area, so much more smooth and clean, so really happy about that. Of course, I still do have to do that second level, but for now, having that first level done actually goes quite a long way. With that being said, I think also having those bottom panels installed makes a huge difference in just the overall aesthetic of the shape of Kamino. I think it looks, I don't know, just more accurate, more like Kamino, more like a dome. It really is unfortunate that I have to share this with you guys through the lens of the camera. I know there's no other way for me to do this unless you were to come into my home, but I think this thing is just so much more visually impressive and stunning. The size of it, I think, just does not get conveyed well through the camera. And of course, that could just be how I perceive it. Maybe you're watching this right now and you're like, oh my God, that thing is insane. But I think like the size of this, an entire build is just ridiculous. I can't believe I'm gonna have to do another one of these domes, but I think it's gonna be worth it once we get to the end. So super happy with how that bottom layer of curvature really just helps sell / complete the look of the Kamino domes. So now that I have that done, my next order of business for this update is gonna be installing lights. I wanna get lights installed in all these rails right here. So let's go ahead and do it. I know what you're thinking, and no, this is not a time lapse of me creating a bomb in my Lego room. This is actually me just wiring together all the lights for those rail sections that are on Kamino. I don't know if I mentioned this before in this series, but I do have a pretty comprehensive lighting tutorial. It's really the cheapest way to do lights in your Lego MOC. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely go check it out. It's cool, it's easy, it's cheap, and it is scalable. Like for the large scale MOCs I do, there's no way I could afford to pay the prices that a lot of the light kit manufacturers are charging. This is definitely the way to go, especially if you want to build large scale. But self-plug out of the way, I actually quite enjoyed wiring all these lights together, which I didn't expect. For me, it's always kind of like a dreadful experience, just being like, oh, I gotta do all these lights now, so I gotta pull out my soldering kit and get all these LEDs wired up, and there's like smoke always coming in my face. Like it's a bit of a process, but once I kind of got in my groove with this, it was actually quite enjoyable just to be sitting down and be doing something that, while repetitive, wasn't just putting pieces together in a repetitive way, which is what I got a lot of in this update. So I don't know, it was a nice little break from what I usually do on Kamino. Once I got all the LEDs wired together, it was time to go ahead and install them in the MOC. This was not nearly as bad as the bottom panel section or the ceiling sections that I had to install. I did have to go back through it and redo them a few times just to make sure that I got the lighting correct, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But that was really the only thing that kind of caused me problems. The wiring was almost perfectly sized. It didn't cause me any issues, which was nice. All right, guys, and just like that, we have even more light on the Kamino MOC. I went ahead and also wired up the wall lights as well, and connected them to the same power source as these, so now everything is illuminated at once, and I think it looks awesome. I went through quite a bit of a process trying to get the perfect amount of light to be illuminated from these. And what that basically means is, I have the light passing through different types of plates in order to either change the color or change how bright it is. And what ended up working the best here, because I didn't want it to be too bright. Initially, if I just had the light shining straight up against this wall, it was just like insanely bright, like unnaturally bright for something like that's really just an accent light. So I ended up putting 2 trans black 1x1 plates in front of the light source, and that dimmed it to the perfect amount to where you can kind of see it reflecting off the wall, but it's not obnoxiously bright, and that's ultimately what I was going for here. So worked out pretty well. I also love the look here where you have like a minifigure standing there and you can kind of see the light reflecting off of him, especially like when he's right in front of it. I think that's just really cool, and I don't know, just makes it look more like a realistic environment, if you guys can catch my meaning. So Kamino, I think, is looking fantastic. You can see here the walls are coming along. I still need to get a ceiling in here. I think the lower level looks a lot more complete when I do these types of angles, but the issue is the lower level, I don't have the lights installed yet, and that wasn't even like a time thing or anything. I actually just need more of those 1x1 trans black plates in order to not have it too bright down here. So that'll be something for sure that I can knock out between this update and the next one, depending on whether or not parts get here on time. And I think also definitely want to get the ceiling built up in here. So if you can kind of blend these 2 images in your mind, you can imagine what it's going to look like when we have not only the lights over here in the railing, but then also the ceiling at the top. I think it's going to look really nice, really complete. And this mock is definitely going to be special. So as we always do, here is your, final pulled back view. I think having that bottom, those bottom panels really helps sell the shape. It looks far more like Kamino than it did before, just from having those bottom panels. I think it just does a lot for the general shape of this build. So super happy about that. And if anyone's still curious why is there no railing right there? Well, that's where the bridge is going to be that'll connect this building to the next one that is chilling right there. It's right now just a big Technic frame, but eventually it will be yet another big Kamino dome. So final words for this update. Super happy with the progress. This build always makes me so happy to see, and I can't wait to move even further on this build, because the exterior right now is just really taking form. Like, it's looking almost exactly how I imagined. I'd say probably even better than I imagined, because you when you start this, you hope that you can get a decent looking dome, and I think that the way it just looks so smooth and seamless, especially now with the bottom being added in there as well, it goes quite a long way. So super happy about that. And at this point, I really did want to go all in on the interior, and that didn't happen because I realized there were just things on the exterior I really needed to finish up. But at this point, I'm really tempted to just go ham on the exterior, get everything finished up, get those bottom stilts to where they're actually something and not just, Technic beams, but actually detailed the way they should be. Get these little inserts in here filled up with greebling, and then get that top part started. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I know a lot of people are actually super anxious to see what the interior of this thing is going to look like, myself included. So maybe we'll find some sort of balance where we can do the interior as well as the exterior and make everyone happy. So here is your parting shot with Kamino. It's looking pretty good, I think, and I can't wait to put in even more work on this thing. And that's gonna finish up the update this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed checking out Kamino. As always, let me know in the comment section below what you're thinking of the build so far. I really enjoyed working on it. I know it's been quite a bit of time since the last update and this update, and that was mostly just because my little brother was home from college, so tried to spend a little bit of time with him. And then also just enjoy the holidays and various life things that came with that. But now I gotta say, I'm definitely reinvigorated to work on Kamino, especially after this update, after seeing the way the lights are just coming together and really making this mock look like Kamino, the Kamino that I experienced in the movies and Clone Wars, in the Battlefront 2 video game. I'm definitely super excited to try to push through these next few weeks and get some really good progress done. So you guys are not gonna wanna miss that. But it's gonna be it for the video. If you like what I do, go ahead and support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.